Hey, hey
Hello.
Nick, how are ya?
Good. How are you doing, Sahana?
Doing well. Welcome to the new webinar series, our product series. So these are going to be our low-key webinar Wednesdays. We'll try and do two of these in a month if we are able to, but we'll at least try and do one every month where we talk about Regrid products. And this is essentially the Regrid product team talking and explaining, maybe demoing, depending on which product we'll be talking about, the products, new features, some updates. We might choose to just focus on one particular feature every webinar, but the hope is that we are able to cover as many of as many of the key facets of the different products in the Regrid product suite, and also allow an opportunity for folks to join us live. Have any questions, we can clarify those. And if you just want to chit chat with the Regrid product team, we're always here and friendly and available. So that's what these webinar series are going to be all about. And we will advertise or post them at least a week ahead of time. So if people want to join us live, there's always plenty of time to join us. But we'll always go ahead and put these videos up on our YouTube site and on the Regrid videos page. So
Yeah.
we'll always be available.
And if folks have requests, I'm sure we could work those in as well.
Yeah, that's right. So and we do have a large product suite. So between the very many different products that we have, there will be plenty to cover. So this will be a series that we see ongoing, and that's why we call them like a monthly series. So you should find us here at least once every month. With that said, let's talk about your product today, Nick. So Nick Downer here, our VP of software, oversees and manages the mapping platform and the mobile app. So the GIS as service side of our business. With that said, I think let's do a little bit of an introduction about what the mapping platform is all about, why and who can use it. Jump right into a quick demo, and then let's spend some time talking about a new feature that just went live. Not a new feature, a new enhancement that just went live.
Yeah.
Is all the good changes that you and the team worked on the style editor this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So let's do it. So I guess starting at the top. So Nick Downer, VP of software, as Sahana said, my role is to do sort of run the product side on the SaaS segment of the products that we have. So we have like a pretty wide product suite, all the way from bulk data nationwide, all the way down to sort of like the end that I work with, which is sort of like a B2C, like users want to be able to use a mapping platform and access our data, but through something that's already built, rather than, like building your own tech stack or pulling it into like a GIS service, right? Like we try to make those things possible for everybody, just to sort of like, join low monthly fee, use the tools, see the data, no like preloading of the data or anything super crazy required.
Yeah.
So that's generally what the platform is and does. Of course, we have our website, which has a bunch of tools on it. And then we also have our mobile app, which is designed to be able to be used out in the field, wherever you're at. And we're doing a bunch of interesting stuff generally across both of those things.
Yeah.
Of which one of the ones that we've pushed recently live is the styles editor. So I thought we could talk a bit about that. I think I don't know, Sahana, if you tell me differently, but I'm sort of thinking we can dive right into the styles, and then do you want to? Do I need a more overall demo, or does that seem sufficient?
I think we should do a more overall demo as well, because this is the first webinar of the series. So let's just use this opportunity to kind of walk through what the platform can do. And while you pull that up, there you go. The paint palette from the new styles editor.
Yeah. So I had this pulled up to work with the styles editor, but I think we can just look at the screen and do a quick demo of what the individual tools do, with the obvious pointing to the fact that if you are on our site app.regrid.com and you click on the little help icon, we have like a whole bunch of tutorials and support documentation about each tool. So generally speaking, how the site works is that once you're looking at the map, here we happen to be looking at a neighborhood in Chicago. You can click on any given property that you see, which are mostly rectangles in the United States, and you can see all of the property data that we have on that specific parcel. So this is all preloaded and ready to go across everywhere that we have data. And then in addition to that, we have a variety of sort of tools and things that should make your life easier when you're working with the data. So for example, we've got a satellite view if you want to see that. We've got a filter tool if you'd like to filter the data. So say you care about only properties that are between 1 and 5 acres, you can do that with our filter tool.
A quick note, the filter is essentially an easy way to query our database. So when Nick pointed at a parcel and it opened up an overview page, what you see here are the fields that we actually have in our database schema. These are the fields that you'll find in our nationwide parcel data set, the normalized, standardized column names. And the platform is an easy way to visualize that data spatially on a mapping interface where the parcel data is the base layer. So you do not need to work directly with the data yourself. You do not need a database team. You can just come here. So that's why it works very well for a B2C model, although we do have some B2B customers using like land banks, local governments, community organizations, urban planners, real estate, realtors. But this is an easy way to look up parcel information in a standardized, normalized fashion anywhere in the country and, do more with it, like query, filter, depending on your use case.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so anything that you see in here, you can plug into the filter. So in the owner filter, you could put in this and you would find this parcel. So yeah, totally, Sahana, agreed. I won't go too deep into any of the other features, although there are quite a few. You can bookmark properties if you want to make a list of properties of interest. You can print sort of like a parcel report with all this information on it if you so choose. And of course, you can import and export data as well. So with that said,
do you want to quickly go to the overview panel just so what the county page would look like? Or we are in Chicago styles right now, the project.
Yeah. So we're looking at so if you look at the overview page, you can get sort of like descriptive stats on the area that you're looking at. So I'll zoom out a bit so we can see here. So we're looking at a neighborhood in Chicago, and I've descriptively named it Chicago Styles, but we're looking at Englewood here in Chicago. And then you can see some of the USPS stats, as well as some overview stats about the area. So, like it's 3,900 acres, as well as owners.
The top owners. And what we see here, the USPS vacancy, those are our premium fields. We have vacancy and residential indicators, binary fields that say if a property is vacant, yes or no, residential, yes or no. And what we've done is use that information to provide at a county level or at an area level, like for instance, this is a neighborhood level, what those stats look like.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So I'm going to jump right into the styles thing from here, Sahana, if you're good with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, sweet. Okay. So going back in a little bit further so we can see stuff nicely here. So basically, like maybe I should set the scene by showing you what it looked like previously.
Yeah.
So here's like an ugly screenshot of what this looked like before we did this work. And basically, similar UI, similar user interface, but the key difference here is that your only option was to do a fill color, right? So like color code the entire property a given color. And the only way that you could select a color was by using our color picker, which is well and good. But we found that people were asking for two things. First of all, there were a couple of use cases which came up again and again where people needed to be able to see actually the detail, especially when on satellite view. And so people were asking for being able to do only the outlines and not the whole fill color. And we were also noticing that just using sort of a color picker is all well and good, but it doesn't really allow a lot of ability to quickly style things in sort of like an attractive way, especially if you're looking at like gradients along a color scale. So that's sort of like the problem that we were looking to fix. So fast forward to what we have working here. I have this illustration sort of like demo map put together here. And you can see that, so in addition to having a fill option, you can also see the line for the boundary. And so basically what this means is you have a whole bunch more ability to sort of customize how this looks. So here we can see a couple examples, right? So we've got one-story residential buildings color-coded sort of depending on size, two different colors, and that's sort of like the fill you can see. We also have this parcel use description of like one-story commercial buildings here, which if I zoom out a little bit, you can see how they cluster along main streets, which makes sense. And here I've got a fill and a line color set.
Mhm.
And then finally, we have the just a line setup for parcels that are classified as vacant land.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, you have a lot more ways to mix and match. To go to one of the specific use cases we sort of touched on just a second ago, one of the key things is that when you go to satellite, some colors can show up very differently, right? And so having the ability to click into sort of like the line color, and I'm actually going to use the color picker here to select something that is very light and then apply it means that you can much more easily see those than previously you could. And even better, you can zoom into a specific parcel and you can actually see what's happening on the parcel even while it's being styled. So apart from that, the rest of the style setup works pretty similarly to how it did before. So I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds there. But this is the improvement that we've been working on, and I think it's a lot nicer here. And I'm curious to know if anybody has used this since it went live. We're always interested in feedback, so drop me a line at Nick@Regrid if you have anything that I should know about.
Absolutely. This is looking great. This makes things so much more legible, but I do think we should spend at least 2 minutes talking about why styles is significant and why we need it. I mean, for without context, it might look like we just changed the color palettes on this, but styles is actually a very significant use case for a lot of our customers who use this as their research and mapping tool, because it allows them the opportunity to color code based on those queries. It's an extension of your filter tool. Like the filter just allows you to, it's essentially a SQL query on our database based on the different fields that we have. It'll essentially just let you know how many of those properties match the criteria, the search criteria you've entered, and those matching parcels will light up on the map. But for those who actually do research work, community work, urban planning work, they actually find a lot of use in color coding using the style editor based on those particular criteria that they're looking for. For instance, they could be looking at vacant properties or the use codes that Nick, you just had in your demo for their next project, whatever it could be. It could be, if it's a real estate company, it could be their next construction project. But we have found that a lot of people who actually do data work, research work, using our mapping interface, they use style to represent those data points, and then they actually share that map with their stakeholders.
Yeah, totally. I think so I don't think it's a little reductive, but I think it's fair to say really that like there's a couple things that a mapping platform needs to be good at, right? On the one hand, we have, as discussed, filter, right? Which is really like out of all of the things that we have, I want to see only the ones that I care about, which have X attribute. So filter is really good for that, but it really just gives you a visual indication of where those properties are. It highlights them on the map and it lets you look at them in a spreadsheet view and export them. Totally fine, very helpful, lots of use cases for it. The other major side of the coin, though, is the I want to visually show things that are invisible, right? Like I want to color code ownership. Like I know that this guy owns a lot of properties in my neighborhood. I want to see it. Or, like we see a lot of real estate use cases where people are looking at specific parcels and they want to color code them various things because they want to then have a map that they can show the boss and say, here's the 15 properties on this block that we want to acquire or whatever, right? Like those types of use cases. So we thought it was really worth putting the time on the dev side into sort of like those two big buckets. And I think having made this improvement with styles, I think people will be able to better do what they were already trying to do. So yeah, totally.
Yeah. And we've also already received, this went live, when was it, Nick? Monday? Or
just about.
And we've already received some positive feedback in the past 2 days from folks who've been actively using and have seen the change from last week to this week. We've seen some interesting comments coming in already. So that was the idea behind this change. And also because aerial imagery is something that a lot of our customers end up using. Aerial imagery is great, but it makes a lot of things not legible on
Mhm.
top of it. So
Yeah.
I think we've definitely solved for that. And for many of our customers who color code the maps and share and do this on a daily basis, we've seen that happen. We have some power users who do this very frequently who go from project to project. This would be very valuable for them and very
Yeah.
easy to use. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just like a quick word since we're sort of kicking off this product series, maybe
Mhm.
just like spending a minute on how we actually also direct, like what people say to us directly informs what we work on, right? Like in
Yeah.
addition to having strategic goals about how we can improve the platform, we
Yeah.
also do very much listen to people who reach out to us. And so, for example, this one, right? We actually tally all of the requests. We call them feature requests, of things to improve or things to add. And so this style's not just a fill, but also needing a line ranked pretty highly, right? So like we factor that in when we decide when and what's the timing of things that we improve. So we took sort of a database approach to like the fact that we chose doing this over something else as well.
Yeah. Wow, it looks great. Good work to you, Nick, and the team that worked with you. Kudos to Stephen. Stephen, if you're watching. But yeah, we'll. This was really interesting. I really love the pop of colors. I think what I would love to see is many of our customers making these beautiful maps and hopefully sharing them with us. We want to see a lot of these maps, and to see the kind of work that's being done. So if you do end up and don't mind sharing, please let us know. You can reach out to me or Nick. My email, most of our emails are our first name at regrid.com. So Sahana at Regrid, Nick at Regrid. We also have team at or parcels at or help at. All right. So I think this was a quick 101 into our platform. We actually did not cover many other features. The platform is filled. It's a very comprehensive tool. It has far too many features for us to cover in one such session. So I think that's why we wanted to focus on the thing that went live this week. But there are many more. For instance, you can import data sets. You can filter and query all of that, but you can draw a focus area. You can draw your own neighborhoods, like the places that or areas or polygons that you are mostly interested in. You can print maps. You can bookmark properties of interest. There's so many things, but there's also an entire data collection piece to this, which I think could be one of the things that we talk about in one of these future webinars. And we can combine that with the mobile app. Our mobile app is essentially an extension of what you saw on the web interface, the mapping platform, but it's meant to be more on the go. So, you can look at parcels on the go. It's great for data collection. So, for property maintenance, for property management, for site selection. So it's a great data collection and data gathering tool as well. So we will cover that, but not just that, we have so many other things. Like we will spend a few of these webinars talking about our main product, the nationwide parcel data, our schema, our coverage. We will spend some time discussing that. We will spend some time discussing our API. We'll spend some time discussing tile servers. So yeah, it's going to be an ongoing series. But if you have any questions right now, I do see we have some live audience. Please type them in. We'll try and get them right now. If not, always feel free to reach out to us. If you have more questions, one of us will always be able to get back to you as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Anything else, Nick, before we wrap up?
No, I'm a fan of keeping it simple. I mean, you know how to find us if any of you watching want to get in touch. And yeah, stay tuned for other stuff. I feel like we've got a bunch of interesting stuff in the pipeline. So
A lot of them coming up, yes. So stay tuned. All right, if there's nothing else, we'll give everyone their 10 minutes back. And we'll catch you all on one of these in maybe 2 weeks again.
cool.
All right.
See you,
Talk to
everybody.
you soon. Bye.